The Mac LC is back in working condition. However, that is only half the job done. So come with me as we get this machine back to its original condition so we can party like it's 1991. My name is Jess P. This is my tech department. Los geht. Our first job today is to actually get the case stripped down ready for cleaning. Now to do this, Apple made it so easy with this machine. There's usually a little screw there, but that's missing. All we have to do is undo these two clips, pick them up, and the top comes off. You can see why this machine got the name Pizza Box, right? Next job, well, is to get the motherboard out. And to do that, we're going to remove the power supply first. The power supply is very simple. Remove the main board plug, and then there are just two clips, and the whole thing just lifts out of the case. I think it's two clips. You know, I've done this plenty of times, and apparently there I'm struggling. But away comes the power supply, nice and good. Next up, let's disconnect the floppy drive. We won't worry too much about the SCSI drive because, well, it's missing. Take away the fan and the speaker inputs, and to remove the actual case itself, or the motherboard from the case rather, it's simply a matter of pulling two tabs, sliding the board forward, and then lifting it out. It's actually, this entire thing is screwless. So again, +1 for Apple, who did a brilliant job of making a completely user serviceable machine. Remember when that used to happen? The same principle goes for the fan and the speaker. They're all just held in by simple plastic clips. Now, for the floppy drive, the same thing. It's just a couple of clips, remove, and then we can just lift the floppy drive away. I'm making a ham-fisted job of it here, but it is easily done. As you can see, away to go, not a screw in sight. The same will go for the hard drive enclosure as well, and for the speaker, as mentioned. Once all this is done, we can then give the machine a good scrub. As always, this would not be a tech department video without a tech department cleaning montage. And as you can see, I'm working it into the case with my rhubarb spray and cloth. Now, the RF shields do not come out of the case. They are welded in there, annoyingly. And when it comes to this fan housing, yeah, that gets really tricky. A lot of patience and persistence, really, and prodding with this metal needle just to get those vents clean and into a better shape. Around the back, things are a bit easier, and oh god, so much finger grime on that power switch. Ugh. Turning to the top of the case, I get the scrubbing brush out to get into all those nooks and crannies, and you can see the dirt rising up. There is signs of yellowing on top of the case here, but it's not too bad. I have Macs that are in way worse state. And as our montage finishes off, it's time actually to tell you about today's video sponsor, PCBWay. We all know that PCBWay make fantastic PCB boards, starting from just $5, and include things like, well, getting a replacement board for this old ZX Spectrum. What happens if your 3D printer isn't up to the task? Or you're having a little trouble with your CNC machine? Then look no further than PCBWay. In fact, if you can design it, PCBWay can help make it a reality. PCBWay, way more than just PCBs. For more information, check out the link in the description below. While we wait for the Mac to be all cleaned up and ready for use, one of the reasons I bought this machine was a beautiful monitor. The other one was this box. Now this is the accessory kit that came with the LC. It actually says on it Mac LC version 7.00. And it looked complete. So I thought, what the hell, I'll pick it up just based on that and the monitor. I'm in for a surprise. And I thought I'd share with you what's in the box. First of all, we have the original microphone. Now, one of the cool things about the Mac LC was one of the first Macs that you could record your own audio to. So it's understandable that this microphone, terrible though it is, came with the Mac. Interestingly, it's so terrible, this is still sealed in its packaging and I have no desire to unwrap it. So that's our first surprise. Let's see what else is in here. So let's dive in and see what we have in the box, because I have a feeling that the person who had this machine, not only did they really seem to look after it, they kept everything that came with it. And to begin with, we have the original document for connecting your Mac to the printer. So it gives you detailed instructions. That is actually really cool. Laser printer installation instructions, installing consumables, loading paper, turning on the printer. That's fantastic. I mean, it's just weird to have all this stuff 30 years later. But what else we've got? I don't think. The problem with... So, here comes some bad German. To my German-speaking viewers, I'm sorry. I am sorry. I try, but Welsh and German, you're going to get some strange words. So, das Programm muss auf einer Festplatte installieren werden. So, this, whatever this leaflet is, the program must be installed on a hard drive. And it gives installation instructions, and I have no idea what it's for. So, a bit random, but instructions for installing a program onto a disk drive. Oh, hang on. It appears to be ClarisWorks. You can just make out ClarisWorks down there. So, yeah. So, there's an installation booklet for... Now, we have our original System 7 install disks. And you'll notice this when we install it later. These are going to be in German, but, I mean, it is just so cool. I mean, I can't even get that in all the way. So, we have install 1 and 2. We also have networking basics, Macintosh basics, printing, disk tools, fonts, and tidbits. Tidbits, eh? Curiouser and curiouser. So we're going to install that a little later on our drive. Next up, well, we've got our manual for ClarisWorks. Yeah, and this has all our shortcuts. Arbeiten mit Fenstern. Working with Windows. Arbeiten mit verschiedenen wow. Yeah, Dokument bearbeiten. So yeah, this is, I guess, your shortcuts guide. And all in German. And I have no idea if these are all stored on the cloud. I assume they are. We'll check everything actually. And if they're not, I will take the time to digitize them and upload them to something like the Internet Archive. So, yeah, I mean, it kind of covers everything you need to know about working with ClarisWorks. What's next? It's a piece of paper on how to install some toner paper. Seriously, they kept everything. And what's really interesting is we have instructions in English, German, French, and Italian. So, insert as far as arrow. There we are. Next up, we have... important notice for SE and Classic users. Don't know what this is for. This note is intended to clarify and expand the software setup instructions included in Pixel View Monochrome Display System Manual. Oh, it's for well, I suppose it's for the monitor then. Before your new mirror portrait display will work properly, you must specify a monitor type. Using the display type menu in the desktop designer software, you need to only do this once, and that's just for SE and Classic users, which we are not, but interesting that we have that piece of paper for clarification. Then there's our manual for the monitor itself, which is where I learned that actually there should be a extra user card, see? And again, all detailed, all wonderfully looked after. So, portrait display manual. This is for the system as a whole. And you can see, look, it shows you installing the card into a Macintosh Plus, Macintosh SE. And the card is different for each one. So I'm guessing you have to specify when you bought it, which card you wanted, and so on. So that's really cool. Next up, well, I mean, some original rainbow stickers. I know my wife is absolutely gaga about this stuff. She's very rainbow-esque, whilst I'm... well, very dark colors, you may have noticed. Next up, yet another manual for our mirror portrait display. I have no idea why there were so many manuals, but this one is specifically for the mirror 15-inch analog portrait display. And then we get into the good stuff. The Macintosh Benutzerhandbuch für modular und kompakte Macintosh Computer. So basically, this was back in the day when computers came with manuals to explain how they all work. This is entirely German and it's not terribly helpful to me right now, but it's a huge reference manual that tells you everything, absolutely everything. And how wonderful is that? And again, look at it. It's kind of in mint condition, really. What's next? Apple Druckersiebe und Verbrauchsmaterial. So Apple printer accessories and materials. So yeah, toners. Again, how many of these things have been lost to time? I know I have many computers over the years, and yeah, the manual would just go, oh yeah, whatever, it's a printer, gone. But to have it is still thing. Now another Mac manual. Einführung for the Macintosh LC. So quick start guide essentially. That's brilliant. Look at that. Look at that. It explains how the computer goes together, how it all starts, all in German. Wonderful. Now for something a little different. A leaflet for Macworld Expo 92, 2nd to the 5th of September 1992 in Berlin. And look, it's like new. And I would guarantee that these have long since perished. But that's kind of interesting. So whoever this Mac belonged to, they were Mac fans. Look at this now. Herzlichen Glückwunsch zum Kauf Ihres neues Apple Color Stylewriter 1500 Drucker. So here's your welcome to a new printer, essentially, the Stylewriter 1500. I don't actually know what type of computer printer came with this machine. We'll take a look at the end of the day. All right. What's next? Well, it's just a sealed manual. It's, I think, where to get your technical support. Sealed in bag. Take it out. Oh, this is the warranty. I somehow expect it's not in, but look at that. We have Apple Assistance Center in Ismaning, Germany. No idea where that is in Germany. But we have a specific number as well for Austria and a telefax number. But even in 1991, an internet address. Look at a simple kind of email address, I guess. Cool is that? So here's our warranty. Again, look at that, brand new. And this is all stuff that would disappear. Software license, English Apple computer license for Macintosh system and all the other languages. Then our list of subsidiaries and where to go to. The envelope with the assistance. I mean, that's just fantastic. Customer registration form, which has not been filled in. And a little presentation about the assistance as well. Let's all put that back in the bag. Wow, that is... This really is a little bit of a time capsule, isn't it? And it's making me super happy. Next up, it's a floppy disk card for HyperCard. Now, I will admit, classic Macs, in fact, Macs until I was well into my 30s, were not machines I could afford, so I would have to make do with PC. So the fact I have so many old Macs now means that I get to experience things like HyperCard. I don't know anything about HyperCard, but I'm going to have fun finding out. And I know there are plenty of people out there who can help. Here is... Oh, it just seems to be an empty folder. Yeah, I'm guessing that's where you would put your warranty after you're done, maybe? Next up. Okay, so this is a manual for an Apple Stylewriter, color Stylewriter. Interestingly, that is not what I have. Because I can see that looking at it, and that is not the printer that came with this machine. So, yeah. But again, it's a printer manual that is 138 pages thick. These days, you take it home, you plug it in, it works. You don't think about it ever again. What's this? Macintosh EV information. company information, I guess. Forms to fill in. Kind of a little club, maybe? Curious and curious. If anyone knows much about the Mac E.V, which I know is some kind of business or the Mac user group. Yeah, actually, do you know, if you know anything about this kind of thing, let me know. I'd love to know more about that. I really would. Next up, oh, it looks like we've got System 7 software information card. Look at that. Explains what everything is, what all the icons are, which is helpful because I've never used System 7. That is really cool. And on the back as well. It's just so cool. Okay, next up. Another odd manual page. And that's just to bitte beachten Sie unser neues Münchner Büroadress. Oh, it's a new address for them to contact, I guess. Okay, interesting. Another warranty. That's kind of interesting. So I'm guessing I have more than one computer's worth of information here. Here we go. Uber System 7 Tune-Up version 1.1.1. Was is System 7 Tune-Up? I don't know. That'll be interesting to find out. But again, a little manual to go with it. Next up, another license agreement. Yeah, I'm definitely thinking I've got more than one machine's worth of things here. So, good. Another list of service providers. Then we go into really, again, interesting thing. This is the guarantee card. It's not been filled in. It's actually blank. All of it's completely blank. Okay. Weird. Okay. What was this? Packing list. Oh, so this tells you what came with your Macintosh. You got a Macintosh LC computer, an Apple keyboard 2, an Apple desktop mouse. You got the installation discs 1 and 2, the printer disc, the Dienstprogramm disc, the daily program, Zeichensalt Hilfe program, intro disc, and some other discs. Now we know already there are more discs in this package than that, so we also got 2 handbooks, a net cable, a power cable, and the guarantee. So that's interesting. A packing gift. We have again another little envelope that has not been used for Adobe Systems Europe. No idea. Next up. What is this? Oh, this is our System 7 tune-up disc. Cool. I did not realize that was actually in there. That's interesting. Ein besonderes Angebot für the Adobe System am Kunden von Apple computers. So, a special offer from Adobe Systems for customers of Apple. So that was back in the day when you could just buy the stuff. And the rest of it then is just cardboard packaging. Yep. Some original silica gel in the rest of the box. But that's not everything that came with it. Yeah, finally, we also had a bunch of extra discs as well, including a bunch of discs for a HP DeskJet 550 writer. Again, I can't believe how many installation discs these things used to take. Or maybe these are just all one disc. Because they all seem to say installation diskette. There's, oh wait, no. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So, okay. I don't have that, but we'll keep them safe. Next up, we have the driver for our desktop designer for Mirror Software. So I'm kind of curious what that's going to do. But interesting, smart date to the 21st of the 8th, 1992. And then since we had ClarisWorks mentioned, we have ClarisWorks there. Now, I'm already noticing on 2 of these discs that they are damaged. So I'm hoping that maybe the disc will still move freely. At least on 2 of those. There's Claris Dictionary disc, Help disc, Communications, Zusatz, and finally we have a Texas Instrument Micro Laser Series printer, paper tray manager. I have no idea what to do with that. But that's everything that came with this Mac. And I am actually as pleased as punch because that is excellent. For €100, an interesting computer, and you can literally see where it came from. It has almost every piece of paperwork you can imagine that came with it. That's cool. Now, maybe we should start installing, I think, now that we've looked at this. Right then, let's get started with the Blue SCSI. Now, I ordered a kit form which has all the SMD work on the PCB already. All I've got to do is connect up the connectors, and I've got to say, it's a lot of fun. So the Blue SCSI is a great replacement for old SCSI drives. It works by just using a Raspberry Pi Pico, a few bits and pieces, some connectors, and, well, magic, frankly, because you can then run any kind of Mac off an SD card. Annoyingly, when I got this kit, I also bought the cheapest SD card I could find, which was 32 gig. Now, bear in mind, the maximum hard drive size of an LC is usually 80 megabyte. It's a bit of overkill, but the card cost me €3 to €4, so what can you do? Anyway, as you can see, I'm busily soldering together the connectors, and you know what? Let's jump to the end and get this finished up, because it's much more fun, I think, to look at the card than it is to look at me assembling it. For the floppy drive, things are a little simpler, more or less. There are just 4 K-screws to undo, if you can manage to get them. And then I struggled a little bit with 1 or 2 of them, but I did manage to get them off. And then it's just a matter of trying to get that case off, which it doesn't want to come easily, I'll be honest, so at least mine didn't. However, once it's off, we can get access to the inside of the drive, and we can clean the heads and then get a little lithium grease on the motors inside. So to begin with, I get some isopropyl alcohol and proceed to get the grease off the old worm drive, because that grease is pretty sticky, unctuous, and not very good for the drive. Next up, I move around and we can undo the 2 screws here and gain access to the little plastic gears. Now, these are known to basically decay to nothing because, well, it's designed that if a disc gets stuck, you can force it open and the wheel, well, will break. So I'm getting a little lithium grease and I'm going to liberally apply it to these cogs in the hope of actually preserving the drive a little longer. And I do the same to the worm drive as well. I do that out of shot. Idiot. Seriously, there are days, people. There are days. However, once everything is greased up like a weasel, we can now reassemble it and get the drive back into the machine and see if it's actually happily working. With the floppy drive back in the machine, I turn my attention back to the Blue SCSI. Now, I bought a 3D printed mount, which is essential if I'm going to get this into the LC. Held in place by 3 screws, all I have to do is attach it, and then this will screw into the hard drive mount that the LC has. As you can see, it fits perfectly and lines up with plenty of space in there. So you don't need to worry about not having enough room in the LC, because the LC is a pretty tight squeeze as is. With everything is reassembled, I just insert the SD card, which has been pre-prepared, and hopefully away to go. Alright, now then, it's back together, and I genuinely haven't tested it to see if this works. I don't know what to expect. I've not used Blue SCSI before, and I have no idea if what I've done is going to work, if it's working right. So without further ado, let's find out. Monitor is on. Power on for the Mac. Well, no, that's disappointing. Well, that hasn't gone well. Let me just double check I've connected that properly. Yeah. Taking our lid off, let's see what I've, screwed up. Because obviously I have. Shouldn't be anything to screw up. Right, with everything back in place, let's get our discs, and hopefully we can install on our new Mac LC. So our disk drive has been cleaned and serviced. Our Blue SCSI is set up properly and ready to go. Let's hope that it actually works. We got a chime. Put the disc in. And let's hope it reads. There's our screen. Come on, come on, come on. Happy Mac, that's what we want to see. And willkommen, yes. So let's get closer to the screen and see if we can find. Okay, so this is going to be fun for me, of course, because System 7 is only available in German with these installation discs. So we're just going to have to muddle through. But we can see our disk drive works, our discs work. So let's click OK. And hopefully, yes, we have a volume to install on. So let's select our volume. Festplatte Mac LC. Install on that. Let's see what happens. And it's off. So while it's doing that, let's zip through it and let it get there quickly, I think. I set the camera up and leave it going. Wow, I'd forgotten what it was like to install disc after disc after disc. There are some things nostalgia doesn't prepare you for, and I think I can safely say this was never fun the first time around, and it's certainly not fun now. However, it is going in and it is working. It's taking its time, but it is working. This is sped up footage, by the way, so yeah. So as System 7 slowly installs itself onto our SD card, let's get ready to take a look at the final result. The Mac LC is back and looking almost as good as it did in 1991 when this machine was brand new. Gone are the stains, the dirt and the grime, replaced with a working power supply and a screen that is simply gorgeous. Inside, our Blue SCSI is doing a fantastic job of replacing the missing hard drive. And here we are, System 7, as expected, when this machine was brand new. I can't wait to dive in and find out more about it, because I've never used System 7. So the Mac LC is back together and I couldn't be happier. This machine has been a real time capsule and I'm so happy to have it cleaned up and looking as nice as it is. Now it does still need a little retro brighting, but it's winter, so that's going to have to wait till summertime. In the meantime, however, the only other issue I've had with it is this weird power supply. As you noticed in the video, occasionally it just doesn't come on. Now this is only on its first boot of the day, and the way to get around it is to just plug in the power supply to the mains and, well, leave it for a few minutes. Eventually the power supply kind of charges up or gets warm or whatever it does, and yeah, it works fine after that. I suspect there's probably a dry joint there that's causing an issue. One of the cool things I really loved about this machine was installing the Blue SCSI V2. Now, the Blue SCSI cards are fantastic, and I know plenty of you Mac users will already know about this, but this is my first experience using the Blue SCSI. I enjoyed making the kit version. It did save me just a couple of bucks, but it was a much more fun project for me that way, and it's so easy to get up and running that you can just install, plug in, and off to go. In fact, I discovered I didn't even need to add that extra 4-pin power lead because it's drawing SCSI power from the main bus itself. A few eagle-eye viewers will notice that the menus are in English despite the fact that we started installing System 7 Deutsch. There was a problem. The system would kind of install correctly up until a point, and when I put the installation disk back in when prompted, suddenly there was a problem with the volume. I suspect the floppy drive is just not in the greatest of conditions. Plus, I'm using 30-plus-year-old media. It's a miracle it still remembers what it's doing now. Either way, it was easy to find a little install for version 7 online, and it's in English. And I had the same kind of problem when installing ClarisWorks on this machine. But nonetheless, I did manage it, and yeah, I'm really happy with the results. All that's left to say now, though, is thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it, and let me remind you, there are socials and things. And when it comes to old machines like this, don't e-waste them, please. Rediscover them. Reconnect. Have some fun. And you never know. You might find your own little Mac LC time capsule yourself. In the meantime, my name is JSB. This has been my tech department. I'll see you next time. Cheers.